So an Ableton backing track could look like this, which is a terrifying jumble of backing tracks, which some of the audio is missing, I'm just noticing. Probably fix that. Anyway, or it could look like this, which is way more fun, and you can just go play like that. Or maybe you just want to go to the next song, and I didn't hit it properly. The next song, there we go, I did it properly. And there we go, and it's doing it. Maybe if I just stop it. Let's say I want to change some of the set list. My key light is in the way, but I can do that by scrolling and moving things around here. I'm going to put this down now because I can't actually see what I'm doing. So this is AbleSet, and I think it's one of the most incredible things that I've ever stumbled upon. And it's just become a staple in all of my backing track rigs now. So AbleSet is a program that works alongside Ableton. It's built by a wonderful human being called Leo Bernard, and how he's done it is just insane because it's incredible. As you can see, it just turns Ableton into a very easy to use, very easy to see set list at its basic premise. Now, with AbleSet, you can put in things like lyrics or pictures of notation that change when you move through the set and a bunch of other stuff, which is amazing. But at its core, you can change around a set list on a backing track rig. So I use it to control this master set on an iPad. So actually my laptop's now out of the way, and essentially I can just control everything from my iPad, and that's the only thing on stage now. I can just hit play, I can see what song it is, I can see what's coming next, I can change the order of the songs, and it's kind of everything I want it to be because it makes me think on stage at least that my iPad is running all the tracks when it's not, it's Ableton, but you get the idea. As a quick heads up, if you did want to try AbleSet, there is a free trial and you can try it along with me. But even better is that Leo very kindly got in touch with me whilst I was making this video, which is very weird. He's definitely a wizard, but he kindly offered us a discount for AbleSet, which is pretty crazy. So if you want to have a little bit of a discount off of AbleSet, then you can use the link in the description or just use the code DRUMELECTRIC and that'll get you a little bit of money off. But like I said, grab the free trial, try it first, see if it's for you, because that's the important thing. And if you're one of the Patreons, then you can actually go to the link just under the discount link to find the very project that I'm just about to build with all of the tracks that I'm going to use, all of it laid out. So if you want to do it with me or try exactly what I did, then you can download that in the Patreon page too. So let's do that. Let's open up a brand new project and let's see how we actually use AbleSet in the context of building a backing track. So I am going to fly through the next few steps in putting the tracks together so we can get to the main point, which is using AbleSet. But if you did want to see a slightly slower, a more detailed version of how to build exactly what I'm building, then you can check out the link just up there. But for now, I'm going to import my audio. That's step one. As I drag it in, I'm going to hold Command, and that's going to separate out the three tracks underneath rather than next to each other. Just going to check that warp isn't on, so then it doesn't, well, warp, and it's not, as we can see down here, which is great. Let's have a listen. I don't know why, I just love these. If you've seen any of my recent videos, you'll know that this is the style of tracks I use. I just love it. So the first thing I want to do is find the BPM, and for this one, I know that it's 117, so I'm just going to change that in Ableton here. Now, a little handy trick if you're using multiple tracks, which we are, is that you can automate the tempo to follow whichever track it is, so then each of the lines line up in Ableton. So when you're putting in the markers, they're actually on beat one and that sort of stuff. So to do that, we're going to click on the master channel, going to hit A, or you can use the little arrows at the top here. Going to open it up and make sure it's on mixer and song tempo. And then this little red line, I'm just going to click at the beginning, and then where about the end is, so about here, because then what it means is that if we did the next song, which was like 131 BPM in this case, then obviously, as you just saw, we can move the tempo of Ableton, so when we get to that point, it's then at the new tempo. Really, really handy, like I said, for putting the markers at the beginning of the bar. So I'm going to leave that at 117, and now I'm just going to hit A for automation, or again, just click that little button with the arrows, and then I'm just gonna like hide the master by clicking on this arrow. I just like it tucked out of the way, you know what I mean? So now I'm just gonna create the click track itself. So I'm just gonna delete this audio track because I don't need that, and I'm gonna insert a MIDI track. If you'd like to see, again, a more detailed version of how I'm doing this and where I got everything, you can check out the video just up there where I create this click and cue track so I can use it on every Ableton project. But for now, I'm just gonna head into my user library, go on my click device, and then drag in my click MIDI, drag that all the way to the end. Welcome to building backing tracks in Ableton and any other software. This is just building backing tracks. I do this far too often. I've got my click. Now I just want that wonderful person that goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to do that by adding another MIDI channel, dragging the cue device, put that at the beginning. So now we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. So now we've got that set up with the click and the tracks. We're now going to label up the whole thing that says the song name, intro, verse, chorus, whatever. And this is where we start to implement AbleSet into this. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, I control all of this on my iPad. So I'm going to do that very thing. So just under the camera here, I've got my iPad Pro. It's just on Safari and it's got a lot going on. I've just plugged it in with a USB-C cable because that's the cable I have, and then that goes from USB-C to USB-C into my laptop where the Wi-Fi is actually turned off. So you can do this without Wi-Fi if you plug it in. I would highly recommend doing this with Wi-Fi. So if you're on the same network, then your laptop and iPad can talk to each other and you can just hop on and just control the whole thing from the iPad, and it's great. But sometimes we're at venues that don't have Wi-Fi, so there we go. So to get AbleSet onto your iPad, on your computer, you're just going to go into AbleSet, and here you'll find, up in the toolbar, you'll see the little AbleSet logo. The host is this laptop here, and the remote is what we want. So this IP address here is what we're going to put into the iPad. So 169.254, and yes, it's fine for me to show this. And once you hit enter on the iPad, then you'll see, in theory, this screen, which is AbleSet. Now, as you can see, it says your set list is empty, and that is because it's true. We haven't added our cues, and that's what we're going to do now. So heading back into Ableton, at the beginning of the track, I'm just going to use the set marker here. You'll see the little arrow, Command R, and I think this song name is So Slick. It's from Epidemic Sound, so just feels a bit weird saying the word slick. I don't know what it is. Anyway, if we swap over to the iPad, now we can see the song title, So Slick, which is great. I'm just going to move this into performance mode so we can just see it a little bit better. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to label up the verse. I'm just going to guess it's 8 bars. Let's just choose that. I could be wrong. Educated guess. So I'm just going to label this with 2 little arrows, verse 1. Now, if I switch over to my iPad, you can see that it has the song title on the screen, the BPM, the time signature, and then verse 1, which is what I've just typed. Now, if we didn't have those 2 arrows, if I take them away, as you can see now, AbleSet reads that as the full song. So it's as if we've gone, So Slick, song number 1. Song number 2 is called verse 1, which is not. So that's why you want to have the little arrow. You can either have 1 or you can have 2. The reason I have 2 is because then it lets me select that section from performance view. If you just had 1, it's just then a visual thing where you can just carry on and see the sections. So I'm just going to label up then the rest of this, maybe just up to the first chorus so you can see it, but bear with me. So that straight away I can just literally tap on the iPad. Yeah, this was a good idea. So straight away I can just tap on the iPad and it's controlled. It's ridiculous. So now we've got the first track labeled up. Let's say you've got multiple tracks like I did at the beginning of this video. So I'm just gonna duplicate this one because it's just that good. And I'm just gonna move it across just for ease. At the end of the first track is just put stop in capitals. And that just tells AbleSet to stop there. So you don't have to worry about the IAC driver or stopping things or automating a stop. The playhead will just get there and it will just stop, which is so good. So the next track, let's call it, because it's the same audio, I haven't changed anything. Big Fat Tune. There we go, Big Fat Tune. As you can see on the iPad, Big Fat Tune, it's changed on there. I'm gonna stop holding the iPad up and I'm gonna use the screen recording of the iPad. So again, I'm just gonna really quickly label that up. And now we have the sort of the building blocks of an Ableton set. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch over to the iPad, and now I'm gonna switch this up. So without touching Ableton at all, what's cool is that I can go into the setlist view, and we can see our 2 tracks here, So Slick at the top, and Big Fat Tune at the bottom. We've got 2 songs at 3 minutes and 4 seconds, so that's how long our setlist is. Now if I go to the little drawing thing down here, I can now arrange them. So I've only got 2 tracks, so I'm just gonna move Big Fat Tune to the top and So Slick underneath. I'm gonna hit save. I'm just gonna control it from this screen because I can, but I'm just gonna tap.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And Big Fat Tune starts playing, which is pretty great. But let's say I want to go straight into So Slick. 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So that's how I use AbleSet within Ableton. The last step is to actually MIDI control it. For now, I'll grab the SPDSX, plug it in, and we'll get grumbling. I don't know what that means. So if you did want to see specifically how to MIDI control Ableton with the SPDSX, which is what I'm using in this video, then you can check out the video just up there. Did I say video too much? Maybe. Super simple. So once you've set up the SPDSX with MIDI and you've got signal coming in, which I am, and it's very noisy because I've got it on my desk, and it turns out a desk is not an appropriate stand for the SPDSX. But we move on. So to show the ridiculousness of this, I'm actually going to do all of this using the iPad which is insane. If I go back to the main setlist view, I head up to settings up here, and you can see so many different settings, which is a bit mental. But you just scroll down to MIDI mapping and edit MIDI mapping. Now, obviously the iPad is just connected to Ableton, so it's getting all of the data from here, but I still find this ridiculous. So this page is just showing you which MIDI devices are available. And these are all the ones that you'll also see in the preferences of Ableton. So what I'm going to use is the appropriately named SPDSX. So all you have to do is just tap here where it says add new mapping. It says waiting for MIDI input. Now on the SPDSX, you've seen this before on this channel, this pink label here, I'm going to go play and then stop right here. So once I hit it, we can now see it's channel 10, MIDI note F2, and the not mapped. And this is where we just want to tap on the not mapped menu and choose what we want to map. So play, I'm going to add a new mapping. There we go, F#2, which is the stop button I just showed you. Stop. So let's just try that out for size. So like I said, play.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 1, 1.
That's pretty crazy. And the best bit about this is in version 1 of AbleSet, you used to have to get the Max for Live plugin, which is another additional cost to Ableton. But in this case, it's all built into AbleSet. So if you're using Lite, Standard, Session, whichever the cheapest version of Ableton is, it works on that, which is great because suddenly that now means that this is way more accessible to a lot more people who are just starting to get into tracks. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you'd like to try this, grab the free trial and then use the discount code to get a little bit of money off if you do want to buy it. If you're a Patreon, grab the link just underneath the discount link to grab this very project and all the labeling that I've done. Might be a few different colors because I'll actually move the markers to where they actually should be, but then you can grab AbleSet and do this with me. So I'm Harry, this is Drum Electric, and I hope you have a fantastic day.